Hello and welcome to this episode of Muxcast.
Today, we're going to be talking about Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace as we lead into our review of No Time to Die. Cheers. Casino Royale. I never know, like, if you want to call these, like, you don't call it James Bond Casino Royale. It's just Casino Royale.
It's short. Like Winter Soldier, we don't call it Captain America Winter Soldier.
Well, but I mean, like, even like those are called Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but this isn't even called James Bond Casino Royale.
007 is called. I think it shows the 007
maybe
logo.
007.
But
but
we
you
don't
just
have
call
Casino
it by the
Royale's
title.
fine.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much you took on this one. So let's just preface this by saying you fucked up and watched Quantum of Solace before you watched Casino Royale.
Yes, and Quantum of Solace is, from what I've heard, is one of the worst.
From what you've heard?
Because you haven't seen... Yeah, because I don't watch anybody's things, but from what I've heard and from what I personally watched, it's definitely the worst one out of the two. I mean, Jesus Christ, that movie's terrible.
Yeah.
We'll get more into it here in a minute, but I'm kind of glad I got that one out of the way first, because I'll tell you right now, right? Drew was like, "Oh, we should do 007," leading up to it. I'm like, that's a good idea. I'm like, it's good, because you were saying it's a good way to bring people in. I was like, it's good. And then I was very tired, and I looked at the messages wrong, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to start with Quantum of Solace. And I watched that, and I was like, why the fuck does Drew want to do this? I'm like, this is horrendous. This is so crap.
I wanted to wait and have you watch Casino Royale, and then I'd be like, I know which ones are good and which one aren't, but I wasn't going to tell you, and then we were going to have to watch Quantum of Solace. But at least if you watch Casino Royale first and then Quantum of Solace, you're like, well, at least Casino Royale was amazing. Yeah. But if you watch Quantum of Solace first, you're like, what the fuck? Why are we doing this?
I was so disappointed. But then I went and watched Casino Royale, and now we'll go ahead and get into it.
Huge. So before we start talking about everything, I guess, just in case anybody else out there is watching these movies in turn to go see the new one, what did you think of Casino Royale? Like, overall, no spoilers.
Overall, no spoilers. I thought it was really good.
Right.
It's not like this mind-blowingly amazing thing, but it is good. It's definitely, it keeps you entertained. It keeps you, in terms of 007, it's definitely a turn, right? Okay, so
it's a reboot.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying it's definitely a different turn from what, the James Bond movies are, but... I noticed with Casino Royale compared to Quantum of Solace is Casino Royale still follows the 007 tropes. It still follows them very well. Quantum of Solace kind of moves away from it. But yes, it does change them, but it still follows them very nicely.
And I mean, in my opinion, it changes them in a good way.
Yeah, of course.
Or in a way that you wouldn't expect, so that it's more interesting to view, and you're not like, oh, well, he's going to do this now, like he always does, or whatever, Yeah. So I agree. I think it's really great. I mean, we're going to get to Skyfall, and I don't remember Skyfall that well, but certainly out of the ones we watched so far, it's the best one.
For sure.
Probably one out of these four that we're about to watch, probably the best. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll have to get there, because I don't remember Skyfall that well. I might change my mind. Black and white. We open black and white immediately. So they're kind of like easing you back into this after, the older movies and everything. Yes. They're like, let's start from the beginning, how it started out. Black and white. This is him in the office. The guy walks in, and he's just chilling there, and he's like, oh, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And he's like, he's trying to, he's talking about, this guy's done some bullshit and, sold some secrets or whatever, and he's like, well, you can't prove it or whatever, and anyway, she would have sent a 007 to kill me if they really knew what I did. And he's like, and it takes 2 kills to become,
oh, yeah.
To become a 007, smash cut to him beating the shit out of that guy in the bathroom.
Yes, so I wrote for that, actually. It's funny because I wrote the same thing for Quantum of Solace, but I like the fighting in this game. I said game. The fighting in this, it does remind me of a game. It's funny because it reminds me of Splinter Cell. There's a part where you fight a dude in the bathroom. But anyways, so I like the fighting in this movie a lot because it's very brutal. Mm-hmm. It's very visceral, in a good way. They just get to the point and they're just beating the shit out of each other. It feels like an actual fight. In some movies, you can see movie, fights compared to what you would picture a street fight or somebody fighting, and that feels like what's gonna be like an actual street fight. Like if I fought somebody in the fucking bathroom,
right,
dude, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, because it's like it's really just it's a mess. Like
it's
he's not doing it well at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It did not go the way he wanted it to.
No, and exactly how a fight would be. It's like in a movie, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna grab my jacket and flip your arm into it."
It's messy, you know what I mean? And just like a nightmare, and it's
so
pretty intense, and like especially for. The first thing you see in this new James Bond movie is not him like suave in a suit, like it's just him like brutally murdering somebody by drowning them in a sink.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And so then he goes back from that and he's like, well, that's still only like one or whatever. He's like, well, he pulls out a gun on him, right?
Yeah.
And then he like pulls the trigger and he's like, because Bond already took the ammo out because he's He's smart. He's smart.
And I think he said something like along the lines of like, "Oh, we don't know each other personally enough," or something like that. And then the guy pulls out the gun and goes to shoot, and he's like, "Well, I know you enough to know." Guns on it,
And the guy says, he's like, "Well, I'll tell you what. The second kill is much," and then he shoots him, and he goes, "Yes, considerably."
Yeah.
So badass.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. And then straight into the intro.
Yeah. Well, no, not straight into the intro.
Because it does the bathroom thing.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Straight into the intro.
But that's typical. But I'm saying like I wanted to make sure that we went over how typical of like that's straight Bond. Like
it's typical, but it's also
you
not
think
what
about
you
it like
expect
this being.
Right?
I know
because you would expect it to be when he shoots the guy.
Yeah.
And
but
then
it's
the
not.
guy in the bathroom wakes up and pow.
But it's cool because this was not.
Turn.
This was not as classy as the other ones usually are, where they do like the quick little turn and then boom, and then they're like all swapped. No, he was like, bomb, and like it was just so much better. Like I don't know how to
it
explain
was such a snap turn because he had to get him quick.
It's better than they do it in the other Bond movies for sure.
Yeah. So I think as we go as well for these four and No Time to Die as well, obviously we'll be ranking the intros too. I think is something we should do.
I'm gonna lie to you. Don't remember Quantum of Solace?
I don't give a fuck about Quantum of Solace. I mean,
right off the bat, I was gonna say that was the worst one probably.
It was a terrible song. It was a terrible visuals. But this one
was good.
It
went on for a little too long, but it was good.
I really like the song. Like I feel like it fits really well, and the visuals. Yes. The use of like spades, clubs, all the shit, the cards, the whole theme is just.
You like gotta think of
Solace,
a Bond
there
intro.
barely even is a theme. It's just like him in some weird background.
So for those who don't know, right? For those who've never seen a Bond movie, so the Bond intro, if you watch anime, a Bond intro is typically like an anime. It's a like big deal. Yeah, it's enough. Yeah, but it's a big deal. Right. It's like it's supposed to like show you some of like it's supposed to hint at some of the story, and some of the music itself even hints at some of the story. Like that's typically how an intro goes.
Yeah, like the whole song is about being like you can't trust anyone.
Yeah. So it's good. Like, I really like the way they did this one.
Yeah. This is a phenomenal intro. So Uganda. Now we're in color.
Yeah,
we're in color now. Uganda, and it's Mads Mikkelsen, my boy. Right there with his eye, all fucked up.
By the way,
doing his little trade.
Typical villain trope for Bond, where like they're disfigured in some way,
right?
Or so, yeah.
Which we'll talk about. Anyway, so he's he's doing his thing. He's basically what is he doing? He's paying them to. He's paying them, I think, to orchestrate the whole like plane thing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That then way he can short the stocks and make money off of that. And then we switch over to Madagascar, Bond, and this other guy whose name I forget.
Garbage.
Oh, this poor guy.
Oh my! I was like, for a second, like I almost felt myself seething because he's like trying to command him. He's like, get your ear. He's like, get your hand off your earpiece. And he's like, huh? I can't hear you. He's
Rookie.
Like, get your hand off. And before he can even say it, the guy sees it.
Which you love as well. It's another like. Up until that point, it's kind of like a twist on the usual stuff because every fucking other spy movie is always this, and they're like, no one ever would do that.
Yeah, and then he pulls the gun out and he stays the guy. He's like, put your gun away,
dude. What are you doing? Like, please,
put your gun away.
You're fucking this whole thing.
And he's just not listening at all. He trips and the fucking gun goes off. Go figure, dude. It's
and he falls into the snake versus ferret pit. Or not ferret. It's like a mongoose. And they're just like, whatever that is. Whoever's pitting snakes versus mongoose. I guess that's a thing.
Yeah.
He falls in there. They never cut back to him though. I don't know if he like. My headcanon is he got bit by a snake and died.
Probably,
because that's what I feel like what happened.
That or all those people in the fucking thing beat the shit out of him. But then we have a really, really awesome foot chase.
Yes.
I love this foot chase because two things. Even though he is Bond, he's not fucking Captain Parkour. He's not. No, it's amazing because he's chasing
the stark difference between them is
it's amazing. Like, dude, when this guy jumps a fence, he like literally just jumps.
He's
the
like
fence.
a fucking frog.
And then Bond, like when Bond jumps the fence, he
jumps
has to like grab it. He has to do like a weird
he's
flip.
Like falling over. And he's like,
and then like even when he's chasing him, it's like, it's so good because like he has to take shortcuts. He has. Okay, so basically this is like smart Braun character versus like a smart speed character because Bond literally has to take shortcuts and go there. He can't do those jumps. Like he did try to do that one jump, like and he fucking almost failed.
Yeah,
like,
almost did. Yeah.
I mean, it's good though. It's very entertaining.
I think this is the best parkour I've ever seen in a movie. Like
I don't know if it's the best, but it's good.
Like I'm talking about in terms of like seeing a movie where it's clear, like especially during the time where it's like parkour was the thing.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing. And instead of it being like cringy, like, oh, it's a parkour guy, I was like, this actually makes sense. Like he's moving in like a very realistic way and they're not like calling attention to it. It's just like this is a chase, this is happening.
Yeah. So the reason that I say it's not the best, I've seen other movies. There's one that I saw that was with Paul Walker. The movie's not that good, but the parkour in that movie's good. But anyways, so
so there's a point where he gets in like a bulldozer and is driving at the guy, right? And the guy shoots 3 shots into the glass of the thing.
Yeah.
And Bond like doesn't even blink.
Nope.
He's like
no flinch.
Nothing. Doesn't move his head. He's just like he's not gonna hit me.
like
how do you? That's insane.
Yeah. And then like I think my favorite part in this whole chase. 2 favorite parts. I like when the guy jumps over that real small little like crevice, right? You know what I'm talking about? It's like the little window above the wall.
Right.
He jumps through it, and then Bond just fucking boom.
Crashes
dude, just straight juggernauts through that shit.
Yep.
He doesn't give no fucks.
And I also put like at certain points, Bond is like working smarter, not harder. When they climb up the crane.
Yeah.
And instead of him climbing up the ropes like the other dude, which would have been a fucking hassle, he's just like, I'm just gonna snap this and let it carry me up. That's really
I also like the part where he's on that little tool that lifts you or lowers you. And he just breaks that shit so he can catch up the guys going down, and he just straight drops down. I'm like, that's genius as shit. Like, that's so smart.
And there's points as well when this is running, and this gave me, like, it reminded me, like, the desert setting, some of the architecture a little bit of what they were running through, kind of reminded me of the Talbot chase from Uncharted 3. If anybody's played that.
There's actually a couple parts
like the way that they're, like, running and the jumps and the parkour, it gave me vibes from that, for sure. He chases him into an embassy.
Yep.
And dude, so this is where you first get your like idea that like he doesn't give a single fuck about anything. Like, this, like the guy goes in, he's like, oh, I'm safe. He's not, he's like British or American or whatever. He's not gonna chase me into a fucking embassy. That would be insane. Goes straight in. Literally walks in the front door and just like there's a guy. The guy is like sitting at the table that he's like reporting to. It's just like this random like fucking paper pushing guy, and he's like, "Oh, let me get my gun." And Bond's like, "Fuck you." He's like, he doesn't give a shit about anyone. This guy like probably has nothing to do with this. He's just sitting there, just like at his desk.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. Put that gun away.
And then he
grabs the other guy, takes him hostage.
Yeah.
And then basically just drags him through this hellfire of like guns.
There's a couple scenes that did make me question some things, like when they're shooting at him with a machine gun. Like the bullets are literally only hitting like the pillars; they're never hitting like which is okay. That's fine. It's a movie trope, but I'm just like, nah. Like y'all gotta calm that shit down, especially on certain parts. But overall, I mean, it's still really entertaining.
He gets him out almost all the way out. Like he does really well.
He gets him like all the way to like a dead end kind of. It's not like a dead end, but
it's a fence. It's the way out, but he can't quite get through. So he immediately turns around and he's like, well, fuck, no way out. You're just gonna have to kill him.
Yeah,
he's
and
like,
then
again doesn't give a shit.
Zero hesitation. Shoots the guy, shoots the tank, and while everybody's all confused from that shit, gone.
Yep.
Dude.
Took the backpack too.
Gone. Yep.
And the way he like. When he runs away, he does like a little hop over a fence. It was like so smooth. He just like hops down, pulls out the backpack, like so casual for him. Like nothing happened. Like he didn't just fucking kill like 20 people.
Yeah. So it's great, right? Because like right from that right out the gate with that whole little, I would call it the intro. You get a feel for that this movie is definitely going to be slightly more grounded on realism than some of the other Bond movies. Like, it's even gadget wise, it's not like he's gadget filled. You know what I mean?
This is a very, very grounded movie.
It's a very grounded movie in a very realistic-ish sense. There's a couple parts obviously that aren't realistic, but that's whatever. But overall, it's a much more.
But it's
grounded,
nothing like it's more just ridiculous. Like unbelievable. Not that it's like, oh wow, he went to space or some shit. It's just more just like, well, that probably wouldn't happen, but there's probably like a 0.5% chance that all those bullets would miss him, so you can suspend your disbelief. for shit like that. And I wrote, like, it's really weird, crazy that this movie was made in 2006.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
it
it still holds
really
up extremely well. Very, very well.
Is not the case for Quantum of Solace.
No.
If you ask me.
No.
But, yeah, and he traces, like, the phone call back, which I was like, for 2006 especially, not the most unbelievable, like, phone trace I've ever seen in a movie. Like,
no.
You know, people, like, you know, even back in 2006, like, that was still the time of, like, people, like, mashing on keyboards and green text and shit, like, for hacking and all that stuff. Yeah. So, like, they still didn't really know what was going on. Like, it wasn't the most unbelievable, like, the way he loaded it up and it, like, pinged and shit. Like, it wasn't crazy. It didn't take me out of the movie, which was cool.
Yeah.
And he's in M's house or apartment or whatever it is, wherever that is. And she comes back and he's just chilling there. And it's also during this conversation that he reveals that he knows her name.
Yeah.
But like right off jump, like the first movie, first 30 minutes, he's like, "Yeah, I already know your name." I'm like that.
He's like, "I always thought M was a code name. I didn't realize it was first." She's like, "You say another word,
I will fucking kill you."
But yeah, he clearly, obviously, does something, which at the time we don't fully know what it is, which we're not supposed to.
What do you mean?
Like on her computer, I'm saying.
That's all he does. All he does is he traces the phone.
No, he doesn't just do that though, because isn't that where he sets up knowing like her information?
No.
Like, I'm saying no information for her login later. Because remember, he
already had her login at that point. That's how he did the phone trace.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I don't know. Right. We don't know how he got his login, but we also don't know.
From there.
We also don't know how he got her name. He just did whatever, and then we just see.
I'm assuming that's where he got the info for her login for later, but I guess not. This probably
he probably just fucking just hacked it at that point. They just didn't show it.
Yeah.
So, they have their little conversation, and she's like, "Don't you ever fucking break in here again, I swear to God." And he's like, "Ma'am," and then he leaves.
Yep.
And then we're in the Bahamas.
Yep.
And he's at the club, the Ocean Club, Ocean View Club,
yeah,
something like that.
And I really like this scene because he's like kneeling, tying his shoe or whatever,
yeah.
and the guy's like, "Park it for me."
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing standing around?"
And you know that this was part of his plan, but he was also being such a petty little bitch, dude.
It wasn't part of his plan because it did nothing for him.
Yeah, it did. It got the guards out of the room. When he took that guy's car and
there
he
weren't
smashed
any guards.
It. Yeah, there was security.
Why would he need to move security? He's staying at the club. What security is he sneaking
But he
past?
broke into the camera so he can find out.
Oh, but that wasn't. No, come on. That was an unintended consequence of him just wanting to shit on that guy.
I mean, yeah.
Let's be honest. He was not like,
he wasn't
clear out the guards.
No, he wasn't fully being like obviously like. He was
just
petty.
like, fuck this guy. Let's be real.
But honestly, he fucked that guy's car up. But I don't think he just did it all to just say fuck that guy. I'm pretty sure he just was like, you know what, this would be a good. It was an on-the-fly decision where he's like, this will probably help me out.
Possibly.
I don't think he just straight shit on that guy, but he did shit on that guy.
Well, he goes in, he like gets his room or whatever, and pulls out his fucking black card, so you know he's rich as fuck. And he goes to the security cameras, sees. It's not Lashif that he sees, right? It's somebody else.
No, it's somebody else. I'm pretty sure it's like one of his. Yeah.
But he sees him like do the phone where he knows the exact time where he did the phone call or the text message.
Yeah.
Where he got texted ellipses or whatever, and he sees the car, and then he's like the slickest way to figure out like who owns the car. He goes up. He's like, I just bumped into this. Silver like Aston Martin like 1960s. He's like, who owns that? She's like, it's this guy. You probably don't want to tell him or whatever. He's like, but what if I wanted to? What if I was like felt really bad about it? I was like, that's really nice though. It's such a slick way. Like he's just like so. Everything is just so natural to him.
Yeah,
he's just
he does a really good job.
Do this, let's see. Yeah, and that's why I said it's like it's fun every once in a while, like especially in this, to have characters that just know what they're doing right off bat. Like we don't need like half of the movie of this dedicated to him becoming a good James Bond. He's already a legend.
Yes, he's already good. Yeah.
Sometimes that's
a reason he got the promotion.
Yeah, occasionally that's very like refreshing to see.
Yeah. So he's at the bar.
Right.
That was the guy, right? The guy at the bar where he looks at him, he's like.
Yes.
That was the guy's car, right? That's the guy with the car?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, because he was like, he looks at him, he's like, what?
The fuck is this?
And then Bond gives him like such a smirk as he turns away, dude. It's so fucking, I'm pretty sure it's the same guy, though.
So that's when he sees the guy who owns the car playing poker. So he goes up, and he's like, deal me in, boys.
Yeah.
Sits down.
And the guy's such a scummy piece of shit.
They play for a while.
Yeah.
She comes up, and he's like, fuck you.
He's like, oh, you're my electron. Where were you 2 hours ago? And,
yeah. And they get into it like very deep, and eventually the guy's like, "You know what? Fuck this guy. He keeps beating me. I'm gonna bet my car. I'm sure I'm gonna win."
Stupid.
And then Bond gets him, but I mean, hey, at least he held up on his. He gave him the car keys.
He gave him the car.
Yeah, and he was even like,
Bond's car.
"I'm gonna need the insurance too," or whatever the hell he said.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, he still held up on it, so respect for that.
Yep.
And then he goes out and gets the car, and the guy's wife is there. And
it's funny because I felt like they were setting this up to be the Bond girl for this movie. Because like they gave her a little attention, and then she came in, and I honestly thought this was going to be like the Bond girl for this movie, and then got to find out soon enough. Sure,
it seems like so far out of the two movies, they've done this both times. They set up one girl and then give you another one. There's one that like goes and is is killed. I guess actually now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah,
if you want to get technical. They both died, but
I know. That's what I'm saying. They both died. Yeah. What do you mean technical? They're both dead. Yeah. They're both horribly dead.
Well, it's because you said, you said one of them dies, but I'm saying they technically both died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways,
yeah. So he's like, hop in. I'll take you to my place. Loops straight around. Like
that
comes back.
Was smooth. I wrote
smooth motherfucker.
Smooth as fuck. Yeah. She said, "Is your place close by?" He said,
"Not far."
It's like not far, and he just drives. He literally moves back to the front, and it's so smooth, dude. It's so
like,
smooth.
Welcome to my house.
I on pictures. I'm a smooth dude.
Yeah.
All right, that's how I picture.
I'm a smooth dude. Yeah. So, yeah, and then you know, they're on the floor. It's. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Like this makes me very uncomfortable.
Really?
I'm not gonna lie. This is like I did not like this at all. This is one of the few ones where I was like, I don't like something about it was off. Like this shit they were saying and the way he was acting.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like a little like he was like a little bit too like I don't know. Something about him was throwing me off. And then like also she's, you know, supposed to be like married to this guy, but clearly she's like just doing whatever all the time.
She's just there for the money.
Yeah, well, I guess, but she talks about it. She's like, yeah, I thought I loved this guy, but everybody ends up being shitty that I like.
Yeah.
Get with or whatever, and she realizes that he's basically trying to interrogate her for information on the guy, but she's like, I don't give a fuck, like I don't care about this guy anyway. So she tells him, oh yeah, he's going to this next flight out or whatever, and so Bond is like, we're gonna need some more drinks. Gets up and is like, let me get like this meal, caviar on a list. And like, for two? No, for one. And then he dips and goes to the airport.
Yeah.
And just leaves her there. And this airport scene is great.
Yeah, this is the other foot chase, right?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So because he starts following him. Well, doesn't he?
Is this a foot chase? This isn't a foot chase. This is not a foot chase. He
not
follows
yet,
him. Not yet.
But he follows him and.
Yeah, so he follows him and they end up in the casino-ish area. Like they end up in like a big crowded area where you can do.
This might be before.
Yeah, this is before that the airport. Yeah, this is before the airport.
And then that would be before he's with her then.
Yeah. No, it's not before he's with her. It's definitely after he's with her because he got the information. No, because then he follows this guy, and when he follows this guy like drops off like a key or like a chip or whatever on the other chip.
But he kills that guy.
Yeah, and so what ends up happening is he realizes he's being followed, so he puts the gun up to Bond, and so Bond starts to walk away. And he can't keep an eye on the chip anymore to see who the drop off was for.
Yeah.
And so they end up having them back and forth, and then he takes a knife and he like stabs him.
But that isn't at the airport because he just follows
he just followed
this is at the airport.
Still at the airport. Yes.
Yeah. So he did go straight to the airport.
Yeah.
Then he kills that guy. Then he follows the new guy who has the chip and the shit.
And he's tailing him really well.
Wait. Yeah. No, it's not at the airport. Because he follows him outside, calls him.
Yeah, and then he calls him in the car. He follows him in the car.
And follows him in the car. Then you get to the airport.
Okay. So he tails him really well, and then literally the only reason he failed is because the guy decides to stop and look at sunglasses.
That was intentional. That was intentional. He knew he was being followed.
Yeah, he had a feeling.
He had a feeling, so he looked in the mirror.
And he's like, sure enough, he was being followed.
I thought that was smart too, to use that to check.
He took off, but not in the way you would think. Like he didn't take off for a chase. He took off into one of the side buildings while Bond wasn't looking. He locked the door. He put the bag in that room, switched to a guard uniform, and then went behind a locked door.
Right.
Which is smart as shit on the villain's part too. Like that wasn't your typical old shit. I'm gonna start a foot chase. I mean, technically he still did, but
it ends up being that. But it's later.
But it's later. It's like he confused Bond for a moment for sure. Like he was like, "What?" So
Bond has to get through the door and he doesn't know the code, and he's like calling up him, and he's like, "Give me the code. How do I know what the code?" And he's like, never mind, I get it.
Yeah.
And he's like, ellipsis, types it in.
Yeah.
And Let's see. Yeah, the guy goes out to get in like the truck or whatever that he's going to drive towards the plane.
Yeah.
And he just pulls the guy out. Like the guy's like working on the tire and he just snaps his fucking neck. Just like nothing.
But I didn't care for the neck snap because I'm used to hearing a sound, right?
Right.
But like it didn't hear like a sound. It didn't seem that threatening. And even the guy was like, ugh, and then he like kind of fell over. It was a little cheesy.
It was so like quick and just like nothing. Though it reminded me of an Iron Man 3, like when Killian comes bursting through the door, snapping necks, taking names. You know?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Out of nowhere, you're like, oh, here's a random guy.
Like, no! Yeah, he just
yeah, you're done.
For real, and the guy literally was just like,
you're done.
And he just falls over, and I'm like, I don't know.
You're done. Don't come around me again. He gets there.
Okay, so this chase is really good.
He's booking it. I think he gets on like the side of it or the back of the car.
Yeah, so he ends up jumping up. So he notices the guy's obviously like getting
he runs
in
up the
truck.
stairs and jumps on top of it.
And jumps on top of it, and so you have this moment where it's like, again, it's fucking what's the term, like a subversion, like
expectations.
Because you're expecting like, you know, he's trying to swerve him and he can't get him off, and then what you see is he's hanging off the side of the truck, and clearly he's about to hit the other truck,
right?
And you're thinking, okay, Bond's gonna get on top real quick, you know, he's gonna get on top, he's gonna get to the back before he gets hit last second. No, it's way more tense because he fucking jumps off and he has to roll to the other side of the truck fast enough, and you're like, oh, this is so different. Yeah, you're like, I literally, like, when I watched it, I was like, oh, shit. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, this is good.
Yep.
And
then also, at some point during that, when they're driving, you know, they have the security guards, like, chasing him in the other cars as well, and the plane is, like, landing. They're driving under right where this plane is landing, and, like, the engine throws some of the cars, which was cool.
Let's talk about that bus for a second. They crashed through that bus. There were people on that bus, bro. Yeah, there's the bus that cuts across them that's got like the split in the middle with like that.
Oh yeah.
And they smash through it. Literally, like if you keep watching, right, when they drive past it and they show you behind you where the bus is, there's literally people like leaving the bus. Like,
there's
you see the silhouettes, bro. People died.
Probably killed like 2 people because you can sit in that.
Yeah, you can sit. Yeah.
In that connecting part.
Yeah, well, there's anybody in that back part. If there's anybody in that back part, they were dead because that back part flipped and literally lit on fire and kept flipping, but the other part only like moved over.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Whatever, dude. I'm just saying, there's definitely people.
They
dead.
were all wearing
that kill count.
They were all wearing fire suits. It's fine.
Sure.
So and he notices the bomb that he attached.
Because he gets hit and he's hanging and he notices it
and slips it on him when he's isn't fighting him.
Smooth as shit.
Smooth like butter.
And then it's funny because you think, oh shit, like Bond just lost for a second. And sure enough, like the guy goes to set the car off. Yeah. But
then the guy's like, I gotcha, or whatever. And then he blows himself up. Yep. Like,
also
crazy.
Good on them for making that explosion not like this ridiculous spectacle. They literally like he was being arrested and all of a sudden it goes.
They don't even show it.
And it just goes. Here's the sound, and it's quick. It's just literally like, and then it's done. And the cops are like, oh shit, and then boom. That's it. That's all you get.
That's all you need to know because it would have been horrible. You can tell, like just imagining it, it was horrifying. You know.
Yeah, and then he gets set free. They skip all that shit. We don't need to see how he gets free.
Yeah, we go back to the club, and the lady's dead. Yeah, and M is
like
there,
mangled, like in that hammock, like
something. Yeah, she's like,
Oh, and then we know later. It makes me wonder, like, was she tortured the same way? Because I think she was, dude.
No,
there's no way she wasn't. If you paid attention,
the same way,
like,
she doesn't.
You could still hit somebody in that area.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing.
If you look right, like she doesn't technically have like her bottoms fully on.
Right.
And like, bro, some weird shit.
I don't know. I don't know if that's their only interrogation technique.
No, I'm sure it's not. But Jesus Christ, dude, they definitely did some brutal shit to her. There's no way they didn't. And then M tells him he's too emotional.
Right.
Which is, it's true. It's very true.
I guess. Yeah.
He comes off as not emotional, but there's emotion driving behind him. There is like the part with the car, dude. That's emotion.
Yeah.
And then
they suggest in this scene though that someone or that people like the same way that Lashif is like betting against the plane, that people did that for 9/11, like that people knew about 9/11 and shorted the stocks for like airplanes or whatever. They imply that in like one of the sentences.
They don't linger on it, but they
I was like, okay, that's interesting for this universe,
especially since it's like never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the plane, and then we get Vesper. Shows up and
they're back and forth.
They have that little money penny reference where she's like, "You're the money." He's like, "Every penny of it."
Yeah.
Instead of actually making her a money penny.
But. Yes. but their back and forth is so good.
He reads her like a book.
Yeah, but she reads him back.
It's like Sherlock, honestly. It's like a Sherlock scene of them
so
reading
good.
each other back and forth.
It's really good. Honestly, like their chemistry is really nicely done.
Mm-hmm. They have great chemistry.
Yep. It's kind of important to one of the things that Bond says. The other reason it's kind of important because it does it plays very sly later, where he's like, because you're beautiful, you're worried that people are going to undermine you and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Because there's a scene later where I can't remember his name right now. Their contact.
Mathis.
Yeah, where he's like, agent as beautiful as this one, and then he smirks like, oh yeah, see, I know. Like she's clearly like annoyed by it a little bit. Yeah. But anyways, their chemistry is so good.
Yeah, and they're basically talking about the plan. She's like, this is a stupid ass plan to play him in poker to try and win. And he's like, nah, it'll be fine. She's like, no, this is a terrible idea. I'm giving you like $10 million to do this.
By the way, I just want to take this side note real quick. We're still a solid like hour left of the movie at this point, and this easily could have been like a moment where it's like it starts to like dwindle towards the end, and it's not, because we get like a lot.
This is where it starts to pick up.
This is where it starts to pick up amazingly. Yeah. It's funny because this could be where it could be the last 30 to 45 minutes of the movie, and it's not, and it's so good though. But it's like never have I been so damn invested in a poker game.
Right?
It's so good. I actually made sure to write that down. It gets really good.
So they arrive to wherever it is, and she's like talking about their covers or whatever, and he just goes up. He's like, room for James Bond, but it's under Mr. whatever else. And she's like, what the fuck, dude? Like we set all this cover up for a reason. So then they go to the room, they change, whatever, get into the suits, and then he goes down, and you have his first like bumping into Lashif.
Yeah.
And he like bumps into him. He's like, oh, is it Bond or is it whatever the other name was? And he's just like, I can't remember what he says, but he says something so fucking cocky. He's just I'm James Bond, and I work for MI6. It's like,
he's just really,
just like, he doesn't give a shit, because but the way he explains
they all know what's going on.
The way he explains it to her is really great, though. He's like, dude, if he doesn't know who I am already, then what are we even doing? Like, this guy is big enough that he already knows.
Yeah, he's
and
connected
he's right,
enough to
too,
know.
because up until this point, you've seen Lashif, like, see him on the screen and know who he is.
Yep.
He's 100% right. He knows who he is and what he looks like and what he's doing and why he's there. He just wants to have the satisfaction of beating him in the poker game. That's the only reason he's letting him stay.
Yeah, it's his ego.
Yeah, exactly.
But, so, real quick, there's a scene where he gives her a dress.
Yeah.
We kind of skipped over this, which kind of neat to.
Yeah, they were getting dressed,
but we skipped over that part because she's like, oh, you want me to put that dress on? And he's like, yeah. He's like, because I wanted to see your neck when you come up to me.
So that may distract you from their cards.
On my end, so yeah. And so then it's funny because, she tells him to get dressed or whatever. He's like, how
did you tailor this?
And she's like, oh, I made you from the moment.
They literally walked in and was like, this is tailored. Like, how the fuck did you do that?
But anyways, so then you get her walking up to him while they're all sitting around the table.
Well.
Oh, sorry. Did I skip over one of your notes? I was just saying, because we're right about there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Do we get? Yeah, maybe.
No, go ahead. What are you
going to say? He gets his drink. Does he get his drink before or after she walks up? I think it's
after. It's after because it's after the game's been around for a little bit. Yes.
Yeah.
So she comes up and the distraction worked, but it also distracted Bond for a solid few seconds because he literally was watching her. But
Bond is, but also it's like, weren't you supposed to walk up where everybody could see you? And she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. She's like, you were supposed to walk up where everybody could see you. She's like, oh
whatever.
well, and she
it still worked or whatever.
But that's her teasing him for sure.
Yeah. So then we get our first shaken, not stir, except he words it very differently. Well, it's not that he words it differently. He does. He just is
it's not shaken, not stir.
Over this instead of. But he doesn't say shaken, not stir. He just says, and then shaken over this. He gets a
very specific type of drink.
Yeah.
And it's not a shaken, not stirred because they throw that out the window later, which is amazing.
Right.
But anyways, and then everybody, a good 3 or 4 people were like, "Oh, I'll take one of those."
I have that too.
Yeah, I'll take that too.
It makes me really want to try the drink. To be honest with you, I want to go back and make that.
They're all so into it. And the dude's like, "Can we all just stop shitting around and fucking start?" He's upset.
We got millions of dollars.
Yeah, he's upset. He's like, "I'm about to fucking murder everybody."
And everybody's like, "Jesus, relax, dude."
Yeah,
we're taking 2 minutes.
Because he goes, he's like. They're like, clearly somebody's in a rush, and he's like, they start calling him out,
right?
But he ends up playing like that. He Bond plays the whole table, in such a smooth way. But at the end of the day, so is I can't remember his name. Lashif or Sheaf or whatever. Yeah, like he's playing the table too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing Bond. They're literally playing each other back and forth.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so good.
And it's so he's essentially trying to learn what his tell is.
Yeah, which
at this point, which he
does.
thinks is this.
No, he picks it up. He does.
But it's not his tell though.
Okay, so check it out. It is his tell, right? Because there's a scene where he does fake it, right? But then there's another scene later on where he's like, he goes to do it, and then he's like, because he's doing it out of habit, and then he's like, no. He's like, let me not do that because he knows it's my tell. Right. Like, I think Bond picked up his tell, so he's faking him on that moment. But then there's another scene later on where he literally goes to put up his hands, and then he's like, and he's not trying to play Bond at that point. He's just like, no. He's like, I can't do that. He's like, yeah. He picks himself up doing his tell. Okay. So
yeah, he figures that out, and then they break. And Lashif goes back to his hotel room, and the people that, were supposed to get the money or whatever from him doing the airplane thing, which did not go well.
No.
It scared the shit out of me, by the way. I was not expecting it. I wasn't ready for it. Like, he just walks out of the balcony, like, yeah! And then they just fucking jump him. Yeah, I was like, what the hell is this? Jump scare.
How fucking awesome is it of them? And this happens in other movies, but it's not something that typically happens, so I love it and I appreciate when I see it, right?
Right.
This is our big bad, right? He's our big bad for this movie.
Yeah.
But there's a bigger bad than him. And that doesn't always happen that way. Yeah. There's a much bigger bad than him who's, like, threatening him. And it's so good. It's so good.
I mean, Mr. White is a bigger bad, but also he's nothing. It's really more the organization than it is
exactly.
Mr. White.
But it's amazing that it's even done that way.
But in this movie, you think it's Mr. White, but then they totally throw it out.
Oh, of course. It's like a whole pull the fucking rug out from under you, sort of.
Yeah. So Bond is kind of, like, tracking him. Like, Bond knows if something's up or whatever. Like, he has a sense for it. He's, like, trying to track him back to his room or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he realizes whatever's going down in there, they're about to, like, cut off her hand or whatever the hell. And they, like, hide in the stairwell as they come out, and, like, they're pretending to kiss or whatever. And then as he walks by, the guy notices the earpiece. I was
he quickly turns to shoot. Yeah,
that's great.
I actually really enjoyed the moment, though, in the room with the machete,
right,
where he's like, "Oh, I can't take your hand because I need you to win that poker game." So he goes to fake his girlfriend, and then he's like, notice. He's like, he didn't even bother to try and plead for you. He's like, what a great boyfriend you have, and like he leaves her at that, which is fucked because that girl was probably like, no, she stays, but she probably is thinking everything, like rethinking shit.
What the hell?
Yeah, but anyways, yes. So we get that awesome. I actually really like this sequence. Scene. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's quick. It's gritty. It's to the point. This is
such a well-paced movie, by the way. Just the way, like you would think, like, oh my god, we're gonna have like a poker game, but they break it up.
Yep.
You get like, I mean, I'm personally very interested in the poker game itself. Like,
I like it. It's really interesting. Yeah, it's very cool to see them playing each other back and forth. But then we have these moments in between.
You sprinkle in, oh, he's fucking poisoned. Oh, he's got to go and do the stairwell fight.
And I like how he's not perfect.
Even if you're not into it, you're gonna have shit that keeps you carried through the movie.
Yeah, he's not perfect in this fight scene either. He gets nicked. Like,
yeah, for sure.
And it's great, but he still wins, and like he still almost loses. And if it wasn't for her, he would have lost.
Right.
But I mean, it's a brutal scene. I like it. But you can clearly tell this is something Lind has ever done. In terms of like watching people die, it's not something she typically does because. Right. You end up having that real tender moment between them where he goes back and she's like crying.
Love that. That might be a favorite part of the movie.
It's really good.
Because I was like dreading. I was like, oh my god, this is going to turn into a sex scene. Please don't turn into a sex scene.
And it didn't.
I thought I remembered it being a sex scene too. I was like, oh my god, this is going to ruin it. But it didn't.
It didn't. No, he just literally held her and like it was really good. It's a very like tender moment between them.
And I also noticed at this point when he goes back and he's like cleaning himself off with the blood in the mirror or whatever. Daniel Craig, his eyes are so like piercingly like light, like they're like ridiculous. His eyes are insane.
It depends on the light, but yes.
But they were like ice fucking blue. Like,
they were
it was crazy.
Very, very.
Like they stood out so much. But I wrote here though. He finds the tell isn't a tell at all because that's the whole reason that he loses. Unless you're saying he's faking the tell at this point.
No.
But we don't know that he knows. He does this, right? And Bond thinks, oh, he's faking, so he goes all in. That's how he loses all of his money because he thinks this is
on the
second
round. That's on the second round.
That's what's happening right now.
Yeah, no. Well, you skipped over the part that they set up. They got rid of one of the goons, or they got rid of one of the guys because they set up the two bodies in a trunk.
Right.
Yeah, so they got rid of that one guy. And then, yes, he loses all his money because he does say...
Because
he says, I figured out his tell.
But then, like, that's his tell.
But Lashif says that. He's like, oh, you thought you had my tell. And then, like... But like it's clearly mocking him, like, "Hey, I realize that you realize my tell, so I faked you out with my tell."
Yeah.
Is what he's saying. Like he's basically like, "Oh ha!" Like he didn't fake that being his tell. Like that really was his tell, but he noticed Bond noticing.
I was honestly expecting, and this is because I'm confusing this with another movie that I can't remember. If anybody out there knows what the movie is that I'm about to describe, please tell me so I can remember and like maybe go back and watch it. But with the way he kept doing that and the broken, like the fucked up eye, I thought he was cheating, right? Like, I feel like they were almost kind of implying that as well. That like he's pushing like this, and it almost I was like, oh, he's like doing something that's like, you know, he can see through the cards. And I swear, because I thought it was this movie, but there's another movie where somebody has this like something like contacts or these
that sounds like some
eyes.
Kingsman shit, bro. But
yeah, like that these eye like these things that they activate and they see through the cards so they can see what everybody has.
Yeah,
but I don't know what movie that is. Please, if anybody knows, let me know.
But
that's not what it was. It's actually just he's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
Playing normally.
But yes, fucking Bond loses.
Yeah.
He loses. Seriously, it's because of his ego, straight up.
It's because of his ego, but it's because he was like so sure. Like I hate the way that they like your ego, your fucking
but
ego
it's
got in the way. But
he admits it later that it was his ego.
He knew his tell. He knew his tell, and they were also like, oh, he figured out his tell. Let's go.
Yeah.
So they were on his side, right? Like they think the same that he thinks is that this is the tell. So if this is the tell, then you're going all in.
I don't think Bond had to go all in though. I think Bond had enough. Like
he could have
gone all in.
But...
Yeah, he could have folded, but he also I think he had more than he did. Like he didn't have to go all in with his chips. I think he could have matched his chips and called him. And Bond was like a longer.
I know. I don't know
what it was, but I'm telling you, like
they had. He had.
He also overdid it. Like he didn't have to overdo it that bad. And that was the point. Like he could have folded, or
he could have folded. That would have been it.
Yeah,
he fold or call. But if you're so sure that this is his tell, then you're gonna go all in because then you wipe him.
Yeah,
but he just ended up being wrong.
Yeah,
I don't think that's an ego thing, but I mean,
it partially is.
They kind of say that it is, but I mean,
but let's be honest, he's got a fucking ego.
I mean, yeah, but at that point,
but that's a Bond thing, anyway.
He's like, this is his tell, and Vesper and Mathis are both like, oh, that's his tell. Like they were having a conversation, like, oh, there's his tell. He's gonna do it. But instead, what he loses, they're like, wow, you're a fucking idiot. That wasn't his tell. Like, no shit. You thought it was his tell, too. Come on.
Yeah. But
yes, so then he goes and, gets a drink, and he's like, shaken or stirred? Do I look like I give a damn?
Yeah. Because he's pissed off at this point.
He's very pissed off. And he's so pissed off, he's like, fuck it, I'm killing this guy.
Yeah. He's like, I don't give a shit.
I was like, wow.
But he ends up getting stopped by, I don't know his name.
Felix Leiter.
Yep. And the guy's the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, I'll buy you back in.
I'll stake
He's
you.
like, I just need you. He's like, I don't have much. He's like, he's
just
gonna
give me the
out.
arrest.
He's like, just give me the arrest. And he's like, you know what? He's like, what about the money? He's like, do we look like we need the money?
Really?
But yeah, so he gets bought back in.
Look at me, I'm a handsome man with a nice beard.
So, yeah, he gets bought back in. And we have probably one of my favorite moments in this movie. So Bond's drink gets tampered with.
Right.
And he gets it, and he takes that sip.
And one sip, by the way, nothing else. That's all it took. Whatever was in there is bad.
Like, he knows right off the bat. He's like, shit. Like, uh-oh.
You motherfucker.
Yeah. So one of my favorite sequences in this movie
is he goes straight
poison
to the bathroom.
And he's like, he basically is just like, fuck this game for a second. He like walks away,
grabs
goes to the bathroom,
some
tries to puke.
Grabs some salt and like a cup.
Yep.
Goes to the bathroom. Drinks, like inhales hella salt water because he knows it'll make him puke.
He tries to get himself to puke, and he does.
Well, he does. He gets,
but it's still not enough. It's not
he's
enough.
already he's already going into cardiac arrest.
This poison's like.
But the thing is like, I don't even think that was him trying to get it all out of his system. It was just to buy him enough time to get to the car, which is great.
So then. He
gets out there. That's when you see they kind of teased a little bit earlier the two little trays that come out, and he gets the top one and it has the defibrillator.
Yeah, which maybe they should consider doing inspections because Jesus Christ, dude.
He's just like
and like so it's so good, right? Because you're like, oh shit, he's gonna make it, and
he's
then
just
like
smacking the shit out of that button.
Oh, I was so annoyed with that part because everyone's like, hit the button, you fucking idiot. Everybody's like, are you dumb? Hit the button. And like he's just clicking away, bro.
You're definitely hitting it, but like. Also, once you hit it like 5 times, maybe look for something else. Like, I feel like you hit it too many times before stopping.
But I think he was delirious at that point. Yeah, because he is in cardiac arrest. And then he like notices it, and he goes to clicking it in, and then dies.
He dies.
Straight dies. But he's lucky because Lynn
Vesper comes in.
Yeah.
And connects it. Boom. Saves him.
Saves him.
Yeah.
And
he's like,
good.
Well, that was something. Let's go back.
No. It's so funny because this goes to tell you about his character. The first thing he says to her is, "Are you okay?" Like, literally, that's the first thing he says to her. And she's like, am I okay? She's like, bitch, you just died. But, like, that's the first thing he says to her.
But it's
like,
also him just trying to be like, that didn't happen. You didn't see
but
that.
It's,
he's like,
so good, though.
No, I'm good. Are you good? And yeah, she's like, all right, let's get you to a hospital. He's like, yeah, but this game's getting kind of good though. Yeah. I kind of want to finish the rest of this movie.
Goes back.
Yeah, he goes in.
He's got to see it through.
Yeah, he got to see it through, my boy.
But yeah,
and then he a little bit more playing, and then $40 million all in.
And he wins with a straight flush.
He wins straight flush. Such a tense reveal scene. By the way,
it very is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because it starts with everybody.
And
they all have winning games. Like not all of them, but two of them.
Each hand is progressively better,
except for one guy. Which is one guy gets skipped over. It's the bigger guys. His gets completely skipped over. But, like, you're a loser, buddy, and then they move to the next person.
But in poker, there's a term for doing that, and but basically, it's considered really bad etiquette to wait and be
instead
like,
of having
everybody else show your shitty hands, and I'm going to show mine. But of course, Bond doesn't give a fuck. He wants to rub it in like hell because he wants to like really sit in that because he won. He got it all. And as soon as he wins, he just casually is like, here, for your trouble, where it gives the dealer $500,000.
Which,
just casual. $500K.
Apparently, I actually didn't know this, but that's a thing that people do in
yeah, I mean, it's like a tip, but still, just like he's like, here's $500,000.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's nothing.
Bond keeps his end of the deal. He lets the CIA. He lets him take him in.
Yep.
And we have like moments between Bond and Lind where you can clearly, obviously, tell they're both really into each other. And it's funny because again, at this point, you're thinking, we're near the end of the movie. And we're not. This movie still has a solid, like, 45 minutes left. Like, it still has a chunk, like... And you're just thinking, like, where the hell could they go with this? Like... Because I'm thinking, like, there's no way this is almost over. Like...
It's at this point that he notices... Or he comments on her necklace, and she's like, it's somebody else. And they kind of hint towards that. And she leaves, and she's like, Mathis needs me, or whatever. And then he's sitting there for a second. He's like, fuck Mathis, what the fuck?
Like,
and then he starts chasing her down, but she's already getting thrown into the car. And...
So he starts to chase. And this is genius.
Terrified me. I was like, whoa!
This is genius. Like, this is something that I wish, I would love to see this go wrong in the best way in a movie.
Yeah, dude,
they it's like right around the corner-ish, right? Like he takes the corner and like she's there.
No, it's not even that. It's dark. So
yeah.
She literally just he's driving and she just appears in the headlights.
Yeah, and like he dodges her, but he gets fucked.
Very close.
Yeah.
Like way too close.
It's so smart, dude. It's so smart. It's such a good way to do that though, because it was on purpose. Because hey, had he hit her, boom, she would have died, and he would have gotten in a terrible car accident. But
they also need to interrogate him though, so I don't know how smart that is. Because what if he died? What if he didn't survive that car crash?
Yeah, I know.
What if he hit her and died? Then you're totally fucked. So maybe not the best idea, but still fun for the movie.
So
So then he's like, your friend Mathis is actually my friend Mathis.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand. We'll talk about Quantum of Solace.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Why did he say that?
Yeah.
But anyway, now we get the infamous cock and ball torture scene.
Bro, that is crazy. My God, bro. That shit was ridiculous. I couldn't watch the whole thing.
The infamous.
I skipped past a little bit. Not past a little bit. I skipped like the hits because... I was like, oh my God, dude, no way. But can we talk about my boy Bond for a minute?
He's like, I've got an itch.
Yeah, he's like, he gets hit.
Would you mind?
He's like, yeah.
Would you mind? He's like,
and boom, he hits him again, and he starts like
to the
laughing.
right, to the right.
Yeah. And then he's like laughing. He's like, yeah. He's like, you're gonna have to tell people that you itched my
died scratching my balls.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So funny, bro.
And then
and at that point he throws him over and he's ready to
beat him up.
To cut his.
To
cut his balls off and shove him in his mouth.
And he gets saved.
And Bond is totally willing. He's like, cut my balls off.
But before that, we get again, fucking every Bond's kryptonite is the Bond girl. Because she starts screaming and like his armor comes down for a second. Like he's genuinely concerned. His armor, and then when he's like, "You got to tell me."
And maybe I'll let her live.
Yeah. He's like, tell me soon because I don't know how much.
But he still isn't breaking.
He doesn't break, but you can clearly tell like he's like considering it. And then they have like a little bag of, and then he tips him over, and then he just pulls the knife out. He's like, I'm about to just rip this shit off.
Yeah, and he's like, and he was totally committed. He's like, I'm just about to get my dick cut off because I'm not going to tell him. So. That like he's so fucking lucky that Mr. White came in at that point, and Le Chiffre, rip in peace, goodbye.
Yeah.
So they get out. He's like in rehab basically for a long time to
Bond's like a
fix his balls.
Bond's fucking nutsack is like a paraplegic.
Yeah, for real.
Unusable.
So and then he's sitting out on that like terrace. He's on. I saw somebody describe it as Naboo. It looks like Naboo wherever he is.
Yeah.
And he is with Mathis, and he's like, get shit on. The agents come out, like fucking tackle the shit out of him, and take him off to be horribly tortured for something he didn't do, which we'll find out later. But yeah, and then she just long cons the ever-living shit out of him. Like, so, I'm not even talking, like, again, just in general, like, the time period is long, but they spend, I think, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes too long on this, like, montage of
them
just, like, it's a little bit too long.
So, right off the bat, I knew that she was going to betray him, like, because they directly go from them trying to find the password to then this little scene, and they're having a little love moment, and so it's funny because at first what I thought they were going to do to us was they were going to be like, where she's like, oh, what's the password? And he's like, you should know the password. She's like, no, I don't. And so he spells it out. And I thought he was going to be in some like hypnotic state where he was seeing this shit. Because I was like, oh, clearly the bad guys just wanted the password. Like that's what just happened, right?
Right.
And so like, it's not, right?
Yeah.
It's like her, and then she starts crying because it ends up being her name. And in my mind, again, I'm like, oh, she's guilty. She's clearly just betrayed him. She's like, she's about to leave him and be done, right? And then, nope, we get this montage of them being together. And I'm like, oh, I guess she's not evil and everything's good. And we're probably going to get towards her death.
The only problem
her inevitable death.
The only problem is at this point is it's believable, but then if you look at the runtime of the movie, you're like, wait, something else has to happen.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, a happy ending.
Yeah, because I watched Quantum of Solace. I was thinking, I was like, okay, this is going to lead to her death. Yeah. Or like this is going to lead to her death. So obviously, right? So I'm like, oh, they're going to show us this happy moment, and they're going to build this up, right? And it's not. It does build up to them having a happy life.
Yep.
And she gets on her phone and she's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna run to the bank real quick."
Run to the bank, blah, blah, blah. Get some.
And she leaves
money,
the phone
you
there.
Give me some groceries or whatever.
And she does love Bond. I want to make sure we get that out of the way
because she leaves it on purpose.
She does. She leaves the phone on purpose, and you come to find out she was betraying him like this whole time.
But he sees the text message or whatever, and he starts to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And he immediately calls M, or do they?
No, M calls him.
They call him.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, so Bond, we haven't gotten the money yet.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Again, up to this point, I'm questioning. I'm like, was he not betrayed? I'm like, that was clearly a betrayal. I'm like, there's something there. I'm like,
right.
There's a betrayal there. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then M calls him, and she's like,
we didn't get the money.
We didn't get the money. And it's funny, right? Because I wish you could have been in the room because I was like, I fucking knew it. I was like, I fucking knew it. I was like, there's no way.
I love the way he responds to it as well. He's not like. You didn't
my God,
it must have been her.
Yeah,
he just goes, oh, I didn't think they miss it. She's like, oh, so you're going to give it to us, right? He's like, yeah. And then he just hangs up.
Yeah, but
he doesn't
M knows.
bother trying to explain it to them because he doesn't have time to.
But you can tell M knows. Yeah. Like, you can see by the look on her face, she's like, oh.
Because why would he not have given the money back by then? Something's up for sure.
Yeah.
But she probably, I think M still trusts him enough to be like, well, he's not just taking the money for himself, so something else is up. So.
Oh, by the way, something. Sorry, I took a note on this. So the reason I kept thinking it was fake, right? Is because when they're having their moments of happiness, if you listen to the score, it's like real happy, and then very ominous for like a few notes, and then back to happy. And I'm like, this has got to be fake. That's all part of the reason. But yeah, the music does a really good job in that scene because it's very happy, and then for a minute there's like a halt of like sorrow, and then boom back. And I'm like, nah, like something's up.
So he chases her down through the bank, whatever he figured out like the name of the bank because he calls the bank and chases her down.
Yep.
And she like gets grabbed by the guys that she's dealing with, and they're like, "I'll kill her." He's like, "Allow me."
Yeah,
like he is done immediately.
Well,
no second thoughts.
He's done. It's not that he's done. It's like
he was pissed. Like I mean, he might not have killed her outright then, but I
don't think he would have killed her at all.
He
still had feelings for her. Trust me, and she had feelings for him.
He would have like shot her. I think he would have like shot her in the leg or something. He would have been fine with that. He was so pissed at that point.
But I think. They run off, whatever, and then they end up in that
the thing. And this is another thing. I feel like this. I actually don't love this. I felt like it was it felt too long, but also it felt like it didn't need to be this huge action falling building apart.
This
they could have just had them meet and like a quick shootout fight, and then be done with it.
I was thinking this felt very video gamey. This felt very video gamey.
Sure.
It did go on for a little too long. It felt like we were controlling Bond and we're just taking our time getting to the top. Yeah. It did feel like it was taking a little too long. This part definitely was like it could have shortened.
There's some bad, like with the nail gun when when he shoots the guy through his like one bad eye or whatever. Yeah. So there's some cool moments, but overall it felt unnecessary. Yeah. But I guess they felt like they had to get a way to find a way to put her in that cage.
Payoff. It's funny because had they not done this big old like set piece, honestly, like I would have been perfectly fine with it. They shouldn't have done this.
No, I think the movie would have been stronger for it.
Yeah,
I think they felt like
it's like
honestly the
pacing. And they didn't have to. The pacing of this movie was phenomenal. Don't get me wrong; it was smart him shooting the buoys or whatever they're called.
I think it would have been more emotional and like impactful if it had just been a moment between them. Like he has to, obviously they're holding her captive or whatever, and he has to get through them to get to her. But if they had found another way to do it instead of this big thing where everything's collapsing, and it was instead it was just a moment between them,
it would have been more impactful. If, like you're saying, and where they had like a moment to talk, and she was like, "Oh, she's like, I'm really sorry." She's like, "I've loved you this whole time." But like they had another tender moment. And then have her like boom instantly get killed like right after that. It would
get shot. Maybe he walks up on her before she gets to the meeting, and then the guys come up and kill her while they're mid conversation. Something,
but nope. But no, they had this big set piece.
So she had a boyfriend this whole time that they blackmailed her with,
which she clearly did get over. By the way, she did.
Well, that's the thing is actually I don't know if she did, but she didn't because I feel like the reason that she let herself die is not only the guilt for what she did, but also because, like, you think about it, like, from her perspective, the other guy that she was with, not, Quantum of Solace notwithstanding, we don't know anything about that yet. Yeah. From her perspective, this is, like, somebody she's madly in love with. Like, this is her person. Yeah. And she just had to do all this stuff, sleep with Bond. Yeah. And like, love him for this long. So, like, all of that, like, she's like, I can't go back. Like, the guilt would kill her of like, she had to do that to save him, but at the same time, doing that breaks that relationship if he was, her real boyfriend. Or that would fuck everything up. So she's like, everything I've done, I've technically saved him, probably, because, like, in her mind, he's not going to be, there's nothing to blackmail anymore. There's no reason for them to kill him. So she's like, I've done it. I'm just going to let myself die and kind of pay for what I've done at the same time.
Yeah. And then, we have the setup for a second movie where he follows that guy. And then he fucking shoots the shit out of him. Like, he calls him.
Well. Because she dies. And then he's on, like, the boat, like, sailing away.
Oh, sorry. And then him and Em are talking. Yeah,
and then you get the iconic job is done and the bitch is dead. Yeah, that was like a huge thing.
She also said a really good line in there where she said, sometimes we're so focused on the enemies, we forget to check up on our, like, our team, like, our people. Mm-hmm. And it's true. It's very true. And then,
but that line where he's so trying to convince himself, and like,
he's like clearly he's hurt.
He's hurt, but it's also like this is the beginning of a real like detached James Bond.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
This
like this broken.
Yeah,
like he's like the job is done and the bitch is dead.
Yeah.
And it's very like that. That's very again new for a Bond. Like there's no Bond that's ever just been so fucking heartless like that. He's like fuck her. She's done. It's over.
And it's funny because M's not dumb. M's not dumb. She can tell.
M is like, she made a deal to keep you alive. You fucking idiot. Like she was trying to help you.
So then, but Bond follows that guy
on that phone.
Sees it. Yep.
And I'm wondering, and maybe this shows up in the next two movies at some point. But like, who sent that text?
Yeah.
Who texted him, Mr. White?
Yeah.
And how does that track him? How does he find this guy then? Just based off of that?
I don't know. That part at the end was very rushed.
I was thinking like, but in my mind I was like, oh, she's still alive, and she texted him so he could find the guy. That's what I was thinking, but there's no way she could have survived it. She clearly died.
No,
I would love. Although I actually wish there was more ambiguous death with her because I would have loved to see her like come back. Like, in this last movie, if she came back, like I feel like there's more there. But anyway.
But anyways, so we get the absolute fucking best moment ever at the very
Snipes
end.
him in the leg while he's on the phone call.
And he's like, what does he say? Does he say, "Who are you"? Is that what he says?
Something like that.
He says something, and then you get
holding
the
gun
very
like that, just chilling, looking at the phone.
Yeah. By the way, that gun looks sexy as fuck.
Great pose.
And then you have the absolute Bond moment of
the name's Bond.
It's Bond, James Bond. And like, by the way, not only was that obviously meant to be for fans.
Yeah.
But
it's the
I feel like this is him finally embracing am Agent Bond. Yes.
It's the arc of his whole...
He has not really been James Bond to this point because he has been emotional. He has been attached. He has been, you know what I mean? And then finally at this is him just being like, okay, I'm now an agent. I am Bond James. You know what I mean? Like,
well, he was accepting of who he was because he was never like... He wouldn't even like hide his name or anything. It's just
but this is him being like...
It is more agent. Just that he is... Like, he's detached now. Yeah. He is AI where he's now... the cold-hearted 007 James Bond. So it's not that because like James Bond isn't a thing for him. Like, that's just his name.
Yeah.
But the way he says is to imply to us, the fans, like this is where he's at now. Like he's now officially James Bond.
Yeah.
Like, the one that you would typically think of when you think of James Bond. Yeah. Not a guy who just like falls in love and goes on a vacation.
You would think that, and then we have
hours.
Our next movie, which by the way, this is it's funny because we could have really, if we tried, made this a two-parter. We're not. I only took 2 notes. I only took 2 notes for this, and then Drew's gonna do most of the talking because I fucking hate this movie. I will give it one props is the fights again. They do somewhat of a good job in the beginning where they keep it again very gritty, very like even the sound effects aren't your typical like dumb movie sound effects. They sound like you're fucking somebody really eating meat. Like somebody really punching somebody.
Sure.
It is. No, I'm talking about like the fight with the guy where he stabs him with a knife. Like the quick fight, like where they have like the hand-to-hand, when he's punching him, it sounds like a person hitting another person. It doesn't sound like your typical like somebody beating like a fucking sack or something for a sound effect. Like,
right.
And then he quickly just dispatches him with the knife. Like those fights were good; they were quick or whatever. But again, and then I'm telling you right now, what turned me off the most was that boat scene. Had so many cuts in it that I literally was like, I can't do this.
I don't know how that's the one that got you. Literally, the intro of the movie is just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah, intro's pretty bad.
You can't tell what the fuck's going on in that car chase.
But I thought it was on purpose. I was like, oh, maybe they're just trying to like do something. But no, it wasn't good.
Here's the thing, right? This picks up, it's literally a direct, like literally it's like minutes after the end of the last movie. Yes. He has Mr. White in his trunk.
Yep.
And he's driving, and now he's in a chase because he kidnapped him, basically.
Yeah.
So, oh God, and the way it ends and goes into the intro, and he goes, "It's time to get out," and then it freezes on his face instead of it like naturally, it like freezes for like a good like 3 seconds, and then the intro starts. It's one of the most atrocious things I've ever seen in my life.
It's not good.
It was like such a horrifying editing choice. It made me want to throw up. I might have actually thrown up in the back of my mouth a little bit.
I don't know how many notes you have, but it's not a good movie.
This was at like midnight. I rewound it. I was like, wait, was I tripping or did that freeze? Did it glitch? I rewound it, saw it, and I laughed out loud. It is so bad. Like, I probably woke up everybody in the fucking house. Dude, it is a nightmare.
But it's funny, right? Because I did watch the intro, but I was just like, oh, maybe it'll get better. And then we had that fight scene. I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. Because it was all done as a one. It wasn't like cuts in that fight. Like, they literally were fighting, and there was like a good back and forth between them. I was like, okay, this is going to get better. And then I saw that boat scene, and then I was just like, this is fucking trash. I was like, this is so bad. I was like, and I'm waiting for it to get better. And I'm just like, nope.
Yep.
Nope. And just taking L's. Every scene is just taking an L,
bad.
bro.
So then, it goes straight into the intro, which is also awful. Just terrible. I hate the song. The song made my ears want to bleed.
Yep.
Just terrible. Not good. So they're talking about, a little bit about Vesper's boyfriend and shit, and they're interrogating Mr. White, trying to find out about Quantum or whatever. Yep. And I also at this point, and multiple points throughout the movie, like, I just noticed, like, this movie looks cheap.
It does.
It looks like a TV movie in a lot of parts. The lighting, and I almost felt like at some point it's like maybe they're kind of intentionally
trying to go for something, but no.
Yeah, like kind of go for a 60s, 70s Bond like look.
Yeah, but no.
But if they are, they failed, and it just looks bad.
No, yeah,
it looks like a TV movie.
Yeah,
a lot of the lighting is terrible.
This was like, I don't know if it was the same team. I don't know what happened. There's no way it was the same team. There's no
it's
way.
Different. It's different director.
It has to be because it's bad, man. Like, it's just a lot of the choices they made for this.
When
movie.
We get to the end of this, I'll tell you something that you'll see. But so there's also like some really obvious stunt doubles as well in that like parkour chase through the roof.
Yeah.
You can really tell like half of it is not Daniel Craig. Bell. Why did I write Bell? Oh, they climb up the bell tower and the bad guy like throws the bell. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like he's like to disorient him so he can't hear him. All right, cool. But I don't really care at the same time because it's one good moment. And then they get to you know, they crash to the roof. They're like flying off of this shit or hanging off this like chandelier thing or whatever. I was like, this is some creative, like, cool idea for a fight scene if it wasn't so dog shit. Like,
and that's the problem.
like,
it's the way a lot of the shit was like. The problem itself isn't the movie, right? Like, had it been probably the same team from the first one with somewhat of the same story.
It's just the editing.
It's the editing and the direction. Is really bad. Like it's like
the story is awful too. But
the story isn't fully awful. It could be. Yeah, the movie's just awful. The story could be saved if the shots and fighting were like the first one, though.
Possibly, it would certainly help. At least you'd have something good to look at.
What happened though? Like I picture. Listen, right? I picture the original team being there, right, and then be like, the movie was pretty good, but I think we're gonna try and go for better. I think we're going to rehire all of you guys, right? And they brought in a whole new team, and they're like, they watched us, they were like, this is the greatest fucking thing I've ever seen.
That's the thing as well. As I can tell, like, for certain shots in this movie, and, like, when he, like, opens the trunk of the car, and it's like, time to get out. Like, you can tell they were like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It's terrible.
Like, somebody sat. Dude, you know what the best part is, though? Right? This was mostly came down to the directors and the producers, right?
Right.
I bet you this editing team, while they were watching this, were like, there's no way we can save this god-awful shit. They're like...
It's like George Lucas watching The Phantom Menace. I may have gone a little far in a few places.
But bro, I guarantee the editing team was just like, this movie's fucking garbage.
Yeah. Well, okay. Look, so here's the thing, though. And I'm going to say, like, this movie, I would say, is not good. But at the same time, I don't want to disrespect, like, any movie. We might say it's bad, but a fucking shit ton of work went into this. So many people...
Yeah, of course.
Put their lives into making this movie.
Yeah.
And I think, especially like the actors in movies like this, like they're doing their best, and they don't
with the direction and the writing.
They don't know what this is going to turn out to be. Like they don't, in their minds, they're like, "Oh, this is going to be insane. There's going to be these insane action sequences." They're not thinking, "Oh, they're going to edit it to be all these quick cut bullshit."
Especially like Daniel Craig coming into it, right? Like, he's coming off the first one, and it was
Daniel Craig was actually heavily involved with this one, which we'll get to. I'll tell you about it, dude. It's not. It's actually look. I'll just go ahead and say it, right? Mm-hmm. This movie was during the writer's strike in 2008.
Okay.
So everything got fucked. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I was going to say.
Daniel Craig and I believe the director, they had to just wing it. They had to write the movie. As they were shooting it, they had to just make shit up.
Okay. So that
explains a lot.
Yeah.
So you can give it a little bit of some sort of pass for that because they just kind of had to wing it with what they had. But
no,
it doesn't make the movie any better. It's just like they had to work with what they had, like during and
okay.
Also,
well, see, now that you said that, right, and now that you said that, I'm thinking about it. The thing is, that's still not an excuse. The movie sucks.
No, but the other biggest thing is they also were supposed to have like the director was supposed to have this like 12 weeks of editing time, or whatever, and they gave him like 5. So they had like less than half the normal time to edit the movie. So that's why everything got fucked. They got fucked at every turn. So I don't blame them at all.
It shows.
Yeah, they had to just really wing it. And honestly, for winging it on that level, it could have been a lot worse, I guess, to be fair.
But it's shit.
You
know what? If you like this movie, we're not shitting on you for liking this movie. Great. If you like it, great. It's good. But you're wrong.
Okay. Let's see. Oh my!
And do you have any notes that you specifically say? You already know I have no notes for this. I literally
there's a point where he comes back and he's walking with him, and this guy runs up and he's like, "Man, something," and it's like the worst ADR I've ever heard in my life. Like he's clearly not talking or like saying it's terrible. The sound design in this movie is also awful. And I was looking at you weird when you were talking about that scene where he gets the guy in the apartment because it sounded so bad. Not the effects, not the effects, but just something. It sounded like a lot of the sound of this movie sounded like it was like in an echo, like echoing. Like something was fucked about the sound mix in this movie.
Maybe, but I was talking about directly the sound hits. Like the sound hits sound real. Like,
sure.
When you're actually hitting skin to skin, it sounds like it's skin to skin.
Right.
So that I liked. Now, in terms of everything else, dude, all I have to say is that boat scene, and I'm done. That's it. Yeah. That boat scene is bad.
Speaking of which, we see the actual girl whose name I can't remember, but she shows up, and you get the main villain as well.
Oh yes.
And her first instinct after finding out that he was trying to have her killed, because Bond, I actually like that he's like basically he gets in the cab with her and like immediately just starts taking on this role, and he's just like winging it because she thinks he's somebody else. Mm-hmm. I actually like this a lot because he's just like, oh yeah, he's like making shit up and trying to fill in that role to make it believable that he's this guy that she was there to meet. But then she finds out that the guy she's supposed to meet was sent to kill her.
Yeah.
And so her first thought is, you know what? I'm going to go to the guy who sent that guy to kill me. And I'm just going to walk up to him and just talk to him. And he wouldn't kill me, right? Why would he kill me? It's not like he was trying to have me killed. Like, what the fuck are you doing? There's literally an armed guard. He could just snap his fingers and you're dead.
Yeah.
So stupid. And he walks out on the dock. And he's like, here, step up here with me, like, over the dock, like, clearly, like, setting up to throw her over the edge. And she's like, let me step up with him.
Yeah, and, like, another thing I don't like is the villain is so rapey. Jesus Christ, bro.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the point, though.
Yeah. But he's
a Bond villain who doesn't have a distinguishing feature. Which is what I was going to mention
probably
before.
His penis, but, whatever.
His scarred, battle-wounded penis.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yep.
It's got an eye patch?
Yep, it's got an eye patch.
Okay,
yep.
great.
Right on the. Never mind. It doesn't matter.
And I said, I have no fucking clue what happened to that boat fight.
Yep.
Let's not even.
Yep.
I don't know. There's literally a point he like grabs something and throws something, and then the boat just like explodes. And you're like, what happened? What did he do?
Yep.
I'm so confused.
I'm like, all right.
I don't get it. Also, really weird. Im is like, we need to find out about this guy. Let me call up our American friends. Calls up David Harbour, by the way, who's in this movie. Really weird. I was not expecting that. Calls up David Harbour. We get a 5-second shot where he picks up the phone and goes, we don't know anything about him. It's like, that's the conversation?
Dude, it's
like, hey, do you have any info on this guy? No.
Yeah.
What?
Over. Done.
It was so awkward. I was like, why was that so quick? What the fuck happened? Like, it must have been like they had more to that conversation, but the take got fucked up, so it was like, let's just cut it there or something. Like, it felt so unnatural.
I can just honestly say on this movie.
Felix is on the plane too, like, American CIA, so Felix is in this movie, which I like.
Yeah.
I like that he carries over.
Yep.
He's a cool character.
I forgot, by the way. I forgot. So you just said something.
I wrote, holy fuck, this is so atrociously hard to follow. I don't even know what point.
Dude, it's true. It's very hard to follow.
It's at some point when he's like going to the opera house and it just like something's really fucked. I like the concept of the people like having it like split up in the opera and like having a conversation. Like, that's kind of cool, but it's also not.
It's funny, right? Because there's people that are going to watch this. I mean, are like 3 followers. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, are these guys fucking dumb? They couldn't keep up with this movie? Bro, most people couldn't keep up with this movie.
No, it's not that I couldn't keep up with. Like,
no, I'm saying it's hard to follow it. Like,
I understood the plot and everything. It's just the visual
pacing of the movie. Yes.
Of everything that's going on from one shot to the next. Like, he'll be here fighting this guy, and then it cuts to a completely different angle. You're like, wait, is that Bond or the other guy?
Yeah,
like, I can't even tell the difference between the person he's fighting and him most of the time.
Yeah, I know. It's just really weird, man.
But it's a hard editing thing. Dude, they thought that shootout in the opera house, they thought that shit was so cool. The way it was edited. Like, all the sound cuts out, and all you hear is the opera, and it's cutting back and forth between the opera and the shootout. But it's just cutting to him just like going like, and like jumping over shit. I don't even know what's going on. I have no fucking clue what's happening. He's just like running and people are around him.
You ready? Like, it's mind-blowingly bad. Like, when I watched it, I was like, who did this?
Like, this was supposed to be really cool. You could tell.
Yeah.
Like, there's a great.
I was gonna say there was a great mind like concept in there, but then
they went into it. With
execution
the proper,
was Jesus. Nope.
Okay, he's on the roof with this guy. He's like, who are you working for? The guy's like, I can't tell you. He's like, I asked you who you're working for, and then immediately pushes him off a building without giving him a chance to answer.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not gonna. I asked you who you're working for, and it's like he's dead.
You're like, what did he think? He's gonna be Batman and be able to pull him back up?
Yeah,
he just let him go.
Is that?
He's like, oh shit. Okay, you want to know what I thought at that moment, right? Like, it's funny because when he pushed him, I thought to myself for a second where he was like, oh yeah, I was supposed to tie the rope to him. Like,
yeah.
Something, right? He's just like, yeah.
And then he falls down, lands on the car, and the bad guys shoot him, right? And then he gets a call from M, and they're like, you just shot that guy in the face, or whatever, and threw him off a building. And Bond doesn't even deny it. They're like, dude, you just did something that's like actually a crime. We had to kind of like suspend you and bring you in. And he's like, he couldn't be like, no, I didn't kill him. He's just like, okay, actually, I did do it.
Yeah,
like, he doesn't bother denying it. It's
yeah.
like, what the fuck? Why would you not? Like, that's a huge thing.
Dude, this... Oof.
He goes to Italy. He meets Mathis again, which Mathis is totally cool with him, even though we forgot to mention at the end of the last movie, M is like, well, I guess this clears Mathis's name because it was actually Vesper the whole time.
And he's
like, No, just keep torturing the shit out of him. Actually,
yeah, like
just keep poking at him.
Yeah,
like he was like, she's like, he's completely clear, like he's good. He's like, but just torture him anyway. And then Mathis shows up and he's like, "What's up?" And it's like, no. And then, oh god. And then at that point, I was like, why the fuck did Lashif said that Mathis was his guy? He definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
Which I think is just the product of. I think
one directed to another.
He was supposed to have been in the first one, but then in this one they were writing it. They were just winging it. And they're like, well, we need somebody to have go with him.
Movie, yeah.
So let's have it be Mathis.
Yeah.
But then that kind of fucks it up. But whatever, we'll just wing it.
Stupid.
So then that other Fields, the redhead Fields shows up, and they just fuck immediately, and she dies. She's the first casualty.
Yeah.
And then, and I'm just, the notes start to fall off at this point. It's not at all in any order. It's just like, why did he gets, there's a point where he goes out with the main girl, and they go to the back of the car, and like the police are like, open the trunk, and Mathis is in the trunk, and he's like, and he uses him as a human shield.
What the hell? Dude.
He's no hesitation. He knows he's alive. He's like, and then right after he's like, oh no, Mathis, no, no.
Yeah, I literally was like, what the fuck? Like, what? I literally was like.
And then he throws it. He's like, oh my god, no, Mathis. And then he just dumps his body in a dumpster. He's like, let's go.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
What happened there? Like, what was that?
Were they trying to play him off as cold? Because they did a really bad job.
No, because he's clearly supposed to care about him because he's like holding him in his arms. He's like,
oh yeah, you're right. He is. He's like, don't leave me. Yeah. Like, don't leave me.
And but just the fact that he picks him up, no hesitation, just flips around, uses him as a body, like a meat shield.
Yeah.
Immediately for no reason. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Dude. What is this? Oh my god. Okay, well, I don't. They get a plane, they jump out of the plane, and they activate their parachute like 6 feet from the ground and survive somehow. However that works. Yeah, it was literally like they were like the ceiling here, and they activated. And we're fine. Fucking, and then I just literally wrote nothing about anything for the rest of the movie until we get to Vesper's boyfriend was evil. Yeah. They reveal, like, it was all a scam. She was being scammed. Yeah. Which I don't like, by the way.
I feel like that was more for shock value or something. Or
and then he doesn't kill the guy. He doesn't get any revenge.
No,
and then he's like,
what does he give him? Doesn't, like, they go through that whole scene, and the girl almost gets raped, and the girl gets her kill of the
she's almost,
yeah. Not the main Bond girl. Like, the girl's, like, she's getting raped, and then she gets her chance. They had, like a fight. Terrible fight. Like,
you know what I do kind of like, though? The main villain guy. When he just gets a fucking axe and starts going crazy. He's like, I'm like, this is kind of cool. He's like swinging the shit out of it at Bond. I'm like, okay, he's going crazy. But like, he's not a typical villain where he'll like take a swing and then like make a speech. He's like, fuck yeah. It's like going crazy.
There's another scene where they're running away. I can't remember. That's coming to my mind where they're running away, and it's like his lackey's running with him, and he like stops and he puts his hand up and like puts him to look at the hallway, and leaves him there. And I was like,
"What the hell?
It's fucking dumb, bro. Just take him with you."
Also, what is this fucking hotel that is running on nuclear power cells in the middle of the desert?
Yeah,
what is it? Why not just make it be like, oh, this is his like compound that he owns? Why a hotel that he had to like clear out?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
And then even worse is like, dude, I don't fucking know. The whole thing is just dumb. Like, it's falling apart, and they're like, we're trapped here. What are we gonna do? And like, he's like,
let me shoot. Yeah, let me make that explosion worse.
No. He's like, close your eyes. He's like, and then make it seem like he's gonna shoot her.
Yeah,
because that's what she wants. And he's like, I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah, because she has a horrifying like fear of fire because of what happened to her parents.
I get that.
I kind of liked that though. No, that would have been really dark.
But why
that would have been really dark.
I know, but why kill her? It's dumb, bro. It wouldn't have made no sense, right? And then he's like, close your eyes, and then he shoots the fucking tank.
I don't know if it would have been stupid. I would have been like, oh wow, that's like great. Like he loves her so much that he's like, I'm not gonna let you die to this. Like, in the worst way possible in her eyes.
I get it. Yeah, I get why he was doing it.
I think it would have been... Imagine how fucking dark it would have been if he shot her and then he survived. Yeah. But anyway, he shoots...
But anyways, I hate it because it's like, I used the fire to destroy the fire.
Yeah, he's like here's our way out. I will blow up more of the building. Like, it's not like...
He's like, hey, a little more fire couldn't hurt, right?
Like, it's like this is going to kill you. It's a big explosion. Why did he not die?
And they're not that far from that big of a tank, dude.
Whatever. They get out. They're in the
desert. In a very stupid way. Mind you, they blow a big hole, and they're on the second fucking story anyway. So even getting down, what do you have to
They just cut, and they're down.
And they're down.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
The guy's running away in the desert. He gets him, sends him out. And he's like, here, have a can of oil. Walk 13 miles.
Yeah.
See if you survive.
Yeah.
He doesn't survive. No shit.
Of course not. Yeah.
He goes back, finds out the Vesper's boyfriend shit. Doesn't kill him.
No.
Because he's better than revenge now, I guess.
Yeah. And then then M calls him or something.
And then M is there, and she's like, we need you back. And he's like, I never left.
Yeah. No, but she says something like, oh, they found him with motor oil in his system.
She's like, was that you? And he's like, no.
No, yeah. And it's just like, okay.
All right. The end. Movie's over. Oh, and then, wait. And then they do the thing. They do the thing, but at the very end of the movie, and it's not even related to anything that happens in the movie. He just turns and like shoots at the camera.
Yeah, like okay, cool.
All right, well, that was a movie.
Anyways, that's the end of this episode.
That was terrifying. Yep. It was horrifying.
I hated it.
I was actually about to say it's only up from here. It's up from here for the next movie.
Yeah, because
I think Spectre is like mediocre.
From what I understand. Yeah, but it's still more watchable than.
But it's not going to be Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, and then I can't wait to watch the new one. But
yeah,
anyways,
I'm looking forward to it. We'll get those all out.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to us rant about the second garbage. I can't wait to the next two movies, especially since
Quantum of
Skyfall's
Garbage
supposed to be good. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
All right. See you next time.
See ya.